Man, do I have a story for you today? This is insane. Dog training stories, dog trainer, company owner stories. Let's go. So there was this one time I had a customer. They were senior citizens. If I was to guess their age, they were probably they were probably in their 80s. And I learned an incredible lesson through this experience. The first one that I learned is about, your paperwork and the things that you need to have in place with your company to protect your company. Now, let's go into the story. So, my facility is ran in a style of a ranch. So, we've got property, I've got horses, I've got chickens, I've got animals, all sorts of stuff out here. And we're in farm rural area, and we do board and trains, we do private sessions, and everything is built around my residence and scaled pretty big within a residence base dog training business style. So, when you come into my property, it's all rocky road. And then you come into the back of the property, and I have my training building, which is a pretty big building, a little over about 3,000 square feet of training space. And, I always tell people you got be extremely careful when you come into my building, because my building that I built is a metal building structure. So I'm always telling people, I'm like, hey, be careful. There's a lip right here when you walk in. And I always say it, but there's this one time that I didn't say it. And that 87-year-old customer tripped on the lip coming into my facility and smacked his head on the ground, and blood started gushing out of his temple. It was the most horrific sound that I have ever heard. The sound of an older person's head hitting the ground concrete because he tripped on a lip that I had on my property. Before I had them come out, I had them sign a liability waiver, because I know that there's dogs and there's things and stuff. And he signed the liability waiver. Okay. Could he have sued me? Could he have taken everything from me and ended my entire business right then and there with what happened if I didn't have that piece of paper signed prior to him coming out to the facility? I am going to argue that yes, he could have. He definitely could have completely ended me. Now, luckily, that is not the type of person that they were. So as soon as he fell down, my training kicked in from the military, and I immediately, his wife was trying to pick him up. I immediately assessed the situation, see if he has consciousness, rolled him to his side. In the event that he would start seizing or having a seizure, I didn't want his tongue to fall back into his throat. Directed my team to grab the first aid kit that we have hanging on the wall, and I immediately putting pressure on the cut that was on the side of his head, and I told him, do not move, stay laying down for a minute. Let's assess the situation. Are you coherent? Can you hear me? Can you see me? And before you stand and try to pop back up, you're going to lay here for a second. And then I'm holding this on his head, and I have my customer's blood getting all over my hands. I don't care. Only thing I cared about in that moment was taking care of him to the best ability that I was educated on. And luckily, first aid buddy care in the military served me well in that moment. So we got him to sit up, and he's telling me, oh, I'm fine. And I'm telling you, man, this guy was tough as nails. He's like, oh, it ain't nothing. I'm all right. And I said, no, sir, I need you to sit down before we get moving or do anything. And, you know, and then I had his wife take over and hold the rag on his head. Immediately got him ice, immediately got him, you know, because I know that the hit that he took, that swelling was gonna take place, and the whole side of his head was gonna swell up. So I immediately got ice and put this ice pack on you, you know, and I treated his arm, immediately started cleaned out some of the scrapes that he had on him, put the gauze on him, cleaned it, and he said, man, he said, I've never had anybody genuinely care for me in the 86 years that I've been on this planet in the way that you did. And I think that is definitely stuck with me, that he is now a really good friend, and you know, I still talk to him and check on him. And I think just going the extra mile for them, because you know, I guess I could have been less empathetic, but like there's no way I could have you know, not did what I did. I just immediately knew I had to care for him. I immediately knew that I had to do everything I could to help him. And luckily, they were very good, genuine, sweet people. And I had legal protection on my side if they weren't. But the story just itself is crazy. You know, you would be surprised at, when you walk into an establishment, how many things that could be laying around, or things that could be open to a person getting hurt and suing your business and completely ending you. So I apologize about that. So I would recommend that, you know, you have the proper paperwork in place. You have, you know, you run a very tight ship, a clean facility. You know, you don't have dangers around. And before you have people come out to your facility, if you can, you do have them sign liability waivers, just in case, because I'm telling you right now, somebody can trip and fall and bust their head open on your floor. I hope you find this valuable. I wish that somebody would have told me about it, but luckily I'm smart enough to learn these things on my own. And if you don't know these things, doesn't mean you're not smart. It's just, you know, I've been in business for a lot of years, and I've seen horror stories where people don't protect themselves with the correct paperwork. And yep, it opens you up to a lawsuit and you get sued. I've got some other crazy stories too that I'm going to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that story.